Good evening and welcome to Scrapbooking with a Twist. This is the weekly swap that is Give a Hoot. And to be real honest about it, this one, I started making this one like back in September because we had one that was Tweedledee. And I found this little cute owl and I wanted to make this little cute owl. And so I started making it. And then I looked at the list and lo and behold, a couple of months later, we had one that was about owls. So I thought I better just make that for the owl one and then figure out something else for Tweedledee. So that's what I did. So we're going to make this little guy. And I'm going to tell you the difficulties I had with him as we go. And I thought I had everything inked, and I looked at these, and I didn't. So I'm going to do these really quick, and then we're going to put this little guy together, and I don't think this is going to take very long tonight. So while I'm doing that, very quickly, I want to do the twist, and I want to just read, because it's Hebrews 5:12 through 14, and so it's several verses, but then my comments on it are short. And Hebrews 5:12 through 14, it says, "In fact, though by this time you ought to be teachers, and you need someone to teach you the elementary truths of God's word all over again. You need milk, not solid food. Anyone who lives on milk, being still an infant, is not acquainted with the teachings about righteousness, but solid food is for the mature, who by constant use have trained themselves to distinguish good from evil." So let me just kind of go back. The writer of Hebrews is talking to the people and he's saying, by this time you should be on solid food, but you are not. You're still on milk. You're still on baby food. And you should be teachers by now instead of needing to be taught these elementary principles of God and his word all over again. And so he was kind of reprimanding the people for not growing in their spiritual life. And so that was kind of where I wanted to head with that. That, we don't expect to just wake up one day and be able to run a mile or a marathon or just to be able to, play the piano like Van Cliburn. You have to work at those things that we want to do and that we want to do well. Singing, you have to learn music or to play an instrument. And so our spiritual life is no different. Our spiritual life is exactly the same way. We need those skills. We need those skills to face the challenges of life. And we can't expect to just wake up one day and have the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding and the depth of learning that we need to face the challenges in life if we don't exercise and grow spiritually. So that's where I wanted to head with that. So, I have little grandsons that play Little League ball, Little League baseball. Well, they have to practice. They practice pitching, they practice catching, they practice running, they practice batting, they practice all these things. And our spiritual life is the exact same way. We have to practice, and we have to grow stronger and develop our skills. Okay, so let's put this little owl together. This is just like a back piece to put everything else on. So it's not part of it. It's just kind of a backer piece. And I went ahead and inked everything. I thought I had inked everything, and then I looked down and there were those little pieces that I hadn't. So we can put him together pretty quickly tonight. But I want to tell you my struggle I had with this. So I'm looking through Cricut Design Space. I just got Cricut Design Space not long ago. And I put it off all this time. I didn't want to pay for it. But anyway, I'm looking through Cricut Design Space and I find this cute little owl. I loved him. He was called Winter Owl, and this looks very much like what it looked like. And I thought, I just love that. So I started cutting the pieces, and And like I said, I'm just now learning to work with Cricut Design Space. And so I started cutting the pieces and doing everything, and my computer, or I guess it was the app, froze up. And I mean, it wouldn't do anything. It was just frozen. It wouldn't do anything. I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't cut it. I couldn't do anything. So I finally just shut my computer down. So then when I gave up that evening, and I restarted it like the next day. I looked and looked and looked. I hadn't saved, of course. I looked and looked and looked and looked, and this owl was nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. So I already had a bunch of cutting done. I didn't want to start over. So I finally found, one time I found this little, it was just like this owl, but instead of being colored and looking like this and everything, it was just the outline. Just the outline. And I thought, that's okay. It's the same. The little things here, the ears, everything looked just exactly the same. So I pulled it in to my project and put it on a canvas and looked at it, and it was like gigantic. It was like, 8 inches by 10 inches. Now, that isn't going to work. Can't use it that big. So then I had to start trying to resize it and get it the same size as the one that I had started cutting. And so it took me a couple of tries before I actually got it resized and was able to make a match, because I had cut bodies and some of the heads, and I needed eyes. Well, the first set of eyes I made were too big. Actually, here they are. And I thought I had them exactly the same, but you can see how big they are. And so I saved them, and I'm going to make more eyes, and you may get an extra set of eyes in this swap. But anyway, I finally got it done, and I was just like, oh my goodness, that was painful. Painful, painful, painful. All right, then I'm going to show you how I decided to do the eyelashes. Whichever one of these I did first, I think this one, I just did them freehand. And then the second time, this one, I went back and I cut a little pattern. I don't know if you can see. I cut a little pattern so that I could just lay it on here. And I'm going to draw with a pencil to show myself about how big to make the eyelashes. And they might be a little more uniform if I do this. Maybe. I don't know. They may not. But anyway, it was kind of a thought I had, and so that's what I'm going to do with it. Kind of get it in the same place on each side. Just draw around that. And then when I finish, I can erase these little lines. No big deal. All right, so there I have my lines. Just going to use this really fine tip marker and then just start drawing eyelashes. I did try to cut some eyelashes, but I didn't like them. So I just went back to drawing them. And they're not perfect. But you know what? I look in the mirror and my eyelashes, my makeup, they're not perfect either. So I thought, we'll just do these, and they are what they are. This one's actually one of the worst ones I've done, but it always works out that way on the videos. But I liked the long kind of, I liked these eyelashes. And then I came around with my pen to do this, to kind of do this is the way it was on the one in Design Space, with this little almost like eyeliner, it looks like. So I did that. On each side. And I do like kind of how it anchors those eyelashes. Like I said, I think these are the worst eyelashes I've done, but they're okay. They'll be fine. Okay, I think that's somewhat even. Maybe just a little thicker right down here. There we go. So that looks fairly even. Then I'm going to go ahead and put the little wings on this because I want them under, to go up in under the head. So let's glue them on. But yeah, this little guy's easy to make. I mean, he doesn't have a ton of pieces, and he's cute and fairly simple and easy to make, but I like to never, I mean, I looked and looked and looked and looked, and I would look it up in different ways, like, because the name of the file was Winter Owl, so I looked under Winter Owl, and then I just looked under owls, and then I looked under birds, and then I'd try it again, and I was just like, oh my goodness, driving me crazy. I was so disappointed, but eventually I will find him again, and I will save him this way, because that other one just kept wanting to pop. I would save it, and then it would still want to pop back up. Is that great big one, and so it was kind of miserable. But eventually, I will find the original one I found, and I'll get it saved, and it'll all be good. But I got these done anyway for this swap. So while I'm kind of just finishing this up, if you look in the description box, you will see the list of people who participate in the weekly swaps who do the videos, like Miss Terry and Shannon and Mel, and oh, there's gotten to be quite a good crowd of us that do it each week. And so look down there in the description box. You can also go to Ginger's Corner, and you can join Ginger's Corner there. You can do all kinds of things with those links, and we'd love to have you over there. You can either join and do the swaps, or you can just enjoy looking what other people do and getting inspired, getting ideas. But anyway, it's a great community to be a part of. Let's see if I can get this on here kind of straight. There we go. And then I am going to do just a little bit of pen work on him, just to add a little. But I thought it was cute. Let's see, I've got my brown pen here, and I just did some, nothing fancy, just some lines just to dress it up a little. And I got a little something there. Nothing fancy. I'm going to do a little on his eyes. He has two eyes, not just his eye, but on his eyes. I don't want to lose that because I am going to use that. But I did this on this chin, but I didn't really, it made it look too much like a mouth. I really didn't care for that, so I don't think I'm going to do that on this one. I need to get my lid on my glue. And we need to kind of put the whites in his eyes to kind of make those little eyes come alive. And of course, no two of mine are ever the same. But there he is, our little winter owl, even though he should have been fairly simple, and he turned out to be kind of hard to get him all together. I think he turned out cute, and I just appreciate you watching, and I hope you drop by Ginger's Corner. I hope you watch the rest of the people who participate in this. I'm going to try to give you a close-up. Let's see if I can do that without losing you on the screen. And have a blessed day and be a blessing to someone else.